Hi everyone. Today I want to show you how to make water kefir. This is the starter that you would need to begin. The grains you're going to have to order online. I got mine from a place called Cultures for Health. About, I think, $30. You get a little package, and it's all these dehydrated little pellet looking things, and you'll soak them in water and sugar for probably a week. Sometimes it takes more, but there'll be directions to follow there. Once you get them started, this is what it will look like. Yours, of course, will be nice and clear and bright. These ones I've had for 5 years, so they're getting a little bit discolored, but that doesn't matter. They're still working. As you can see, there's some foam along the top, bubbles. That shows that they're active. And we'll start with the actual bottling first. We'll kind of work backwards, and then I'll show you how to make the starter that you'll need to keep alive, keep going to make your drink. So I'm going to start with a bale top bottle, preferably. Glass is always nice, but if you're starting out and if you don't know how carbonated it's going to end up, that depends on how warm your house is, what kind of fruit you add at the end. You could have an explosion if you don't monitor it. So you might want to start off with a plastic bottle and just a screw top, because the plastic can expand and you can actually see that you're going to need to release the gas out of it once in a while. So we start off with, you're just going to need a funnel. This one I have to put a little stick in to get the airflow. You're going to want to get a strainer like this. Preferably plastic, but I use metal on this one, and it hasn't seemed to affect the taste at all. So you're just going to take this and pour it on into your bottle. And just try to be gentle and not pour any of the grains in it as well. But of course some are going to come with it. Alright, and just try to get as much of the liquid out as possible. And you can see the grains on the side there. Sometimes they get big and they multiply. So you can also, if you have a friend that's making this, you can always ask them if they have any extra grains. You're going to need about 3 tablespoons of grain per quart. So a quart is, this is a half gallon, so a quart would be here. And that's all you need to make that much. Of course, if you want to make a gallon of it, you're going to have a few more grains. But usually this is enough to last a couple, 3 days for one person, depending on how much you like to drink, of course. So I'm just going to take the extra that we caught in here and put it back. Here, I'm going to set this aside for now, and I'll get back to that later. So now you have your grains, and a really simple way to remember is a 1/4 cup of sugar to a quart of water. 1/4 cup, quart, half cup, half gallon. Okay, and this is it's a raw cane sugar, so it's going to be a little bit browner. Try not to use the white sugar, because it will just work your grains too hard, and they don't like that. You could use brown sugar, but that often gives you a little bit of a weird flavor, like the molasses flavor, sulfury flavor. So unless you like that, then go ahead and use it. It's good. The grains like any kind of sugar that has a little bit more mineral in it. So you're going to just dissolve that in. This is a 2-cup container here. And I just use a plastic spoon, because don't use wood, because a wooden spoon sometimes harbors other yeast in it. And metal, you don't want to get that metallic taste in any of your food. So just stir that in until it gets dissolved. Now this mixture is going to sit for about 2 days. So when you think it's about ready, you won't see as many bubbles coming up from the bottom, and you kind of give it a little sniff, and it'll have a little kind of a yeast aroma to it, and it will be sour tasting. You'll know that it's the yeast inside are going to eat up all the sugar, so it won't be this syrupy taste. So just add that in there. Try to get the grains off the side. So that's 2 cups plus 2 more cups, and that will give you a quart. 4 cups is 1 quart. Just get all that off the sides. So that's all there is to this part. Now you're going to want to just cover this. Never cover with a lid, just something that will breathe. And this is just to protect it from any other yeast that might be in the air, or you know, flies and bugs and whatnot. So definitely, if you are also a kombucha brewer, you recognize these scobies, you're going to want to keep these away from your kefir, because sometimes they'll jump into the kefir, and yeah, then you're just making kombucha at that point. So if you ever find a film on top, or anything kind of moldy looking, just dump your water out, make your mixture again, and it should be fine. If you do make kombucha, just keep the jar in another part of the kitchen or another part of the house. Also, you're going to want to use, don't use tap water on this. You're going to want to use filtered water, or what I do is just I keep my kettle on the counter, and it's been boiled for tea at some point, and I just use the boiled water, or water that's sat overnight, just to get the chlorine and taste out of it. So we're going to put that to the side now, and that's going to again sit for 2 days. One thing I like to do is just mark with these pens, or wine glass writer makes these, and I just put what day I'll need to bottle this. So in 2 days, so it'll be Thursday, and just as a reminder. Now we get to the part of finishing off our bottle. I like to keep about what is that, 3 inches, 4 inches from the top, so that I can add juice or fruit. So I'm just going to dump a little bit out, and I can always put it back in to top it off. So this one, I'm going to add some apple. Just remember, everything is going to expand when it goes, after it sits for a while, so you're going to want to make sure you cut the pieces small enough that they're going to fit back out. So, got a little apple, and I like to put ginger. It's always nice in. And then maybe top it off with a little bit of apple juice. Juice is great because of the sugar. Just make sure you're using pure juice, not juice flavored kind of sugar water. So I'll put a little, anytime you use apple juice, grape juice, it'll really carbonate. The yeast really like it. So just be really careful that, again, you're releasing the gas off of this once in a while, or burping it. This is where you can get creative and put any kind of flavoring you want. Here we have some thyme and mint, lemon balm, a cinnamon stick. That would be nice with the apple and ginger. So after you've got all the ingredients in, you can top it off a little bit more with your reserve, right to about there. Now, this is going to sit out on your counter in a warm spot, but not too warm. Again, this will carbonate. This is the second fermentation, and this is where the fizz will happen. So you're going to clamp that down real well, and then if you're making it in the morning before you go to bed at night, just release the gas so you don't have an explosion overnight. If you're worried about this, again, put it in a plastic bottle until you get used to the routine. Or I kept mine in the shower for the first while just in case it did explode, and it did. So it's pretty much like a bomb when it goes off, so you really do have to be careful. So now I'll show you a finished bottle. So here's the finished product. This is one that's ready to go. I used blueberries, and I was actually making wine this weekend, so I put a little bit of fresh grape juice in here, and so it just made that wonderful color. There's the fizz that you get. You'll see the bubbles on the top, and this has been kept in the fridge, you know, after you've kept it on the counter for a couple days and you feel like it's fizzy enough for your taste, then go ahead and move it to the fridge, and then that will stop that fermentation. That'll calm it down, and you're not going to have it explode in your fridge. And from this point, you just strain it off into a glass, and you can, at this point, you can drink it straight, or you can mix in your Optifiber, your Metamucil in the morning. I often put a collagen powder in it, or even Airborne if I'm going to be around kids all day. So, or just straight. It also makes a wonderful mix, a low carb mix for if you want to have a cocktail. It's always handy. It's always in your fridge. So again, the sugars have been eaten up by the yeast and in the process of fermentation. So I think you're only getting about 7 carbs per glass. So all right, that ends the process of kefir making. If you have any questions or comments, please put them below, and I'll link to all the products I mentioned. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.